So to set up the Alaskan Mill, there is a 12mm spanner and a 13mm ratchet, comes in handy. So you've got the torque setting details from the manufacturer. I probably ought to get round to investing in one of these sets. Personally, I've been using this for about 10 years without the set and I've not had any issues, so there we go. So to begin with, loosen off the 4 bolts at the base. So assuming you've done your pre-start checks on your chainsaw, you can now attach the chainsaw to the device. So simply slot it through. Can be a bit fiddly sometimes. And once it's in, just make sure it's centered nicely, equal on both sides. And then pretty self-explanatory, tighten up the bolts. And make sure they're pretty tight, because remember this makes a lot of vibration, so they can loosen up. A word of warning for this 4th bolt, because it's right near the exhaust on the chainsaw, and I know by experience you can burn yourself on that when you take it apart. So to set the thickness or the depth of the mill, you loosen off the 4 bolts. This is where I find the ratchet's pretty useful rather than the spanner, because if you're milling different lumber sizes, it's quite quick to change in the field when you need to. So loosen them off, and then you can set both sides. There is a gauge on both of the pillars to the height you want. The lowest you can mill this rig is 1/2 inch, and the maximum there is about 14 inches, which is pretty useful. So one essential piece of equipment is some kind of rail. This one's about 2.5 meters long. The length of it determines the length of the timber you can sawmill. Alaskan Mill do sell their own rail, but it's pretty pricey. I've seen other people use ladders instead of this. I just knocked together some 2x2 wood, as you can see. And it's important to get this as straight, square as possible, because this is what you use to make your first milling cut. So we've got some English oak here as part of a thinning operation. So first get the rail installed on it. So just attach it with some timber lock screws. That's just to pin the rail in place so that the mill runs across the top of it, and then the chainsaw is actually cutting below the rail. With the first cut finished, and take the rail off, and a nice flat surface, so this will be the next cut where the Alaskan Mill runs by. Now at this point you will need some wedges just to knock in, because you've got to remember compression and the weight of the timber. So I've reset the mill to cut 2 inch. Here you just cut simple slabs but notice you will have the bark edge on the side. So as with normal chainsawing and felling, cross-cutting, you do not want compression on the saw, because it's more wear and tear on the machine, and it also makes the job harder. And yep, it's a pretty dusty job. And now we can reveal the milled surface. And this never gets boring. Each piece you mill is always unique. So on that piece you could see the prominent sapwood, and we were just starting to get into the heartwood. So I'll now reset the mill to about 10 inches. So to cut square-edged timber, after doing your first initial cut, you reset the mill. And this way you do a parallel cut underneath. And obviously just watch your feet. And then we continue to mill as normal. Take the bark and the sapwood off in that cut. Now rotate the log 90 degrees, put the rail back on the top. You'll now be able to mill square edged timber in either slabs or beams. So finally I'm cutting some 5" by 5 beams. So having cut 2 slabs at 5" depth, stick them together. You can probably mill 3 at a time if you wanted to, just speeds up the job, a bit more efficient. And same as before, work your way down, pop the wedges in so the saw does get pinched. And this is the various slabs and beams that you can mill with this equipment. I hope you found this video informative. Please feel free to comment, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.